for educational critical review and reaction is the late, great Jordan Maxwell.
So what about this Jimmy Jones guy, the Jim Jones? You were in L.A. when he was around there, weren't you?
Oh, sure, absolutely. Yeah, I know all about Jim Jones. See, Jim Jones was part of, it's a big story. We have to go back and start, and we can continue this conversation, tomorrow, the next day, next week, because there's so much to tell you, so much. But what you first have to understand first is go back to square one. The Democratic Party in America, the Democratic Party as far back as 1930s, back in 1930s, we're talking, 80 years ago, 90 years ago, whatever it is, was taken over by the left wing or the communist movement. So that today, the Democratic Party is a Soviet communist operation, Marxist-Leninist communist organization, while the Republican Party is 95%, not complete, like the Democratic Party is 100% Marxist-Leninist Soviet communist.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
But the Republican Party is about 95% Nazi.
Yeah.
SS, Gestapo, Adolf Hitler, Nazi.
Vatican rat line.
That's it. Vatican rat line, white folks with the big money financing Adolf Hitler and all that crap. So the Republicans are Nazis, and 95% of Republicans are Nazis, and 100% of the Democratic Party are pure Soviet communists.
George,
so once you understand that, then you begin to see how all of these cults that was started by the Marxist-Leninist movement in America and in Europe, so many of these different churches and organizations like the NAACP and CORE and some of the black organizations, and then the white movements, the white resistance movements, and all of that. These were all started by the Soviet Marxist-Leninist communists to divide the people, divide and conquer. So, like the Bible says, no house divided against itself can stand. So the best way to, and the way I explain it is that if I were in Africa as a white guy, and I'm in Africa, and I get thrown into a jail in Nairobi, Kenya, and there's all blacks in there except me, the smart thing to do is what the British would do, what the English did when they were in Africa. You start trouble between all the other people in the prison.
Right.
You go to this one black guy and tell him, you know what this guy said about your mama?
Yeah.
And then the other guy say, you know what this guy said about you? And then before you know it, you got all the black guys fighting each other, right?
Right.
Which is good. That way they leave me alone. They go out there and kill each other.
Yeah. Smart move.
And so that's what's been going on, is that England is always starting all the problems, all the cults and all of these different secret societies. And Jim Jones was working for the Marxist-Leninists and the Communist Order, but he was also very clever, getting support from both sides. Both sides thought they could use him. And so Jim Jones's People's Temple, when I heard his church was called the People's Temple, I knew immediately this guy is going to be connected to Jimmy Carter and Rosalind Carter and all of these Soviet Marxist-Leninist left-wing communist assholes.
Brzezinski?
The people, Brzezinski, exactly. Because
Robert Pastor.
The very word, that's it. The very word People's Party, the People's Paper, the People's this. The very word peoples is a term used by the Communist Party. And so that's why you will find all of the communist countries of the world. Here's something you need to keep in mind. All the communist countries in the world, from Cuba, China, North Korea, and all the other communist countries that used to be, all of them are officially referred to as People's Republic, People's Democratic Republic. You have the People's Democratic Republic of China, the People's Democratic Republic of Cuba, the People's Democratic Republic of North Korea. Every country is communist is called the People's Democratic Republic.
You even see that.
That's where we get the.
Even in the street
Say
gangs,
it again?
Even in the street gangs, you see that in Chicago. One street gang where they wear their hat to the left, they have an organization where all these street gangs are called the People's Nation, and then
that's it.
Then that's it. Then the other side of the street gangs, the Folk Nation, they all wear like a pitchfork, and it's kind of they use the 6-point Saturnian type of star. And
yep.
You got like the right. They're kind of like. Kind of like a Saturnian Nazi type of thing. Then the other side is the people's. It's like a communist and a Nazi type of thing.
That's right.
Right in the street gang. Right in the.
That's exactly right.
And
that's exactly right.
There's so much Masonic. When you read the graffiti, I was in Chicago one time when I was younger, and I didn't realize until now how much Masonic symbolism is in the graffiti.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. I went to many years ago, back in early '80s. My friends, all my friends here that are in the Moors, they called me, and I used to go out to their house. I used to go to their parties, their meetings, and I give lectures at the Moors about maritime admiralty law, et cetera, Well, they called me one night and said that there's going to be a doctor who works at the Martin Luther King Hospital in L.A. is giving a private lecture to the Moors tonight, and they wanted me to be there. So I went. It was in Santa Monica. And his whole lecture, this is a black doctor from Martin Luther King Hospital, and his whole lecture was about the graffiti of the gangs and what these symbols mean in occult Freemasonry. And he was explaining how the different gangs, like the Mexican gangs, use a lot of the York Rite symbolism, while the black gangs use a lot of the Scottish Rite symbolism. And he went on for about 2.5, 3 hours explaining the symbolism that the gangs use coming from occult Freemasonry. I remember that a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so I know that this kind of stuff has been going on, and that's where the gangs are getting their guns and their money.
Yeah, the drugs.
And the bottom line is that the guys who are in power, they don't give shit if you're a communist or a Nazi or a fascist. They don't give a shit about none of it because they run the whole show anyway. They can kill you no matter who you are.
Right.
So what they want, yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's like Al Capone. He don't care if you are or with the Roger Tui's gang or with the so-and-so's gang. He don't give a shit. He'll kill you himself. He don't care who you are with.
Right.
So this is what the guys who run this planet, they don't care about the different groups, and they're not on one side or the other. They want all the young people.
Yeah, they created them anyway.
That's right. They created them for you. And then, in case you're so fucking stupid that you don't you don't get involved, they will make movies for you so that you can watch Blood In and Blood Out and watch all the gang movies. So that'll give you an idea. What you need to do is go out and join one of the gangs. So Hollywood makes the movies so they can get you involved in the idea of joining a gang. Because maybe you're so damn stupid you didn't even think about joining a gang. Well, they make movies about it. Make the movies about it. Show you this is what you kids need to do is join the gang.
Yeah.
And they make a movie Fast and Furious and Blood In and Blood Out and all that silly ass bullshit. And I know all the guys who worked in the movies.
Good old
I know that's what they're doing.
Yeah, psychological warfare.
That's it. And so the bottom line is that they get all of the youth fighting each other. Keep all the different groups fighting each other, and that way the British can go in and make the money. They'll sell the guns and they'll buy and sell your body and throw you into prison and use your body as a security. There's a whole world going on out there that people don't know nothing about at all.
Jordan, I noticed. Okay, I've been with this research with this Jim Jones. I got a whole thing on the internet where I'm showing people that Jim Jones had so many look-alike body doubles.
I know.
The ears, Jordan, I show this to people on the internet how on the NBC footage, they actually switched body doubles right in the footage while the congressman was down there. Nobody even noticed. The ear,
all these leaders have body doubles, all of them.
I think the real man escaped because if you look at there's two different photographs of two different Jim Joneses. There's one outside the little cottage pavilion, then there's another one inside some cottage somewhere. It's two separate men, and one of them looks like he got like a mask on, like how the CIA during the Cold War wore those fake bodysuits and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When the congressman was down there, you can look in the pavilion. Some of those old black women really weren't old black women. Those were like bodysuits.
I would be a bit surprised. That's exactly right. That whole thing, that whole Jim Jones going down to Guyana, that whole Jim Jones thing was a CIA operation.
And the
CIA paid for it, or organized it. Yeah.
The Nazis were down there waiting for them.
That's exactly right.
I was.
That's what they were.
You'd be surprised. Yeah. I was sitting there watching the footage, and I was shocked. I said, what the hell is a 50-something-year-old man, German man, doing in the middle of a communist rally?
That's right.
In Guyana, what the hell is a ex-Nazi doing sitting in the middle of a communist rally with Jim Jones in them? I could tell. It's like I find the British intelligence. I find them down there. Frank,
that's right.
You remember Frank Turple?
Yeah, I remember the name, yeah.
He was that deep cover CIA agent that was selling guns to terrorist groups, and he got busted, and he had to flee the country.
Yep.
Yeah, he indicated something about like how the Green Berets there was a contingency plan. They assassinated the congressman at the airport. Then they did this. They threw the suicides, but also there was a contingency plan. So whoever didn't drink the poison, that's okay because we got some assassins coming in to get you anyway.
No, of course, yeah. You don't have to drink. You don't have to drink that. You're gonna be dead anyway.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because when you see the photographs, everybody's face down. You don't see one face picture. They're all like they have been dragged. Like their bodies look like they tried to run. And somebody caught him and shot him or strangled him something and brought him back there and just dumped him there.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't be a bit surprised. That's the kind of thing. And remember, one of Jim Jones's ardent admirers and promoters was Jimmy Carter and his wife.
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter and especially his wife. She was always down there to be on the street with Jim Jones. In the People's Temple, the People's Revolutionary Temple.
Mm-hmm.
It's purely Marxist-Leninism. Well, today, the Democratic Party is pure Marxist-Leninism.
Yeah,
it was getting that way. It was almost there when Jim Jones was in. Now it's finally totally Marxist-Leninist, communist, Soviet operation going on, and we call it the Democratic Party. And again, remember that go look it up. All the different communist countries are, Cuba is called the Democratic Republic of Cuba. China is the Democratic Republic of China. The People's Democratic Republic of Cuba. The People's Democratic Republic of this. The People's Democratic Republic.
Right.
Everywhere it's communist is always called the People's Democratic Republic.
Yeah, I know in Germany they use that in Germany and Europe when they talk about being a Democrat and stuff on the left, they write out show pictures of Trotsky and Lenin and
of course
and they don't even try to hide it.
Nope, they don't even need to. They're so damn powerful now and got all the money. They don't even need to hide.
But they can't. I was reading about how Trotsky was a gangster from New York City, and
So was Marx and Engels. Marx and Engels worked for the New York Tribune newspaper. They were both newspaper reporters. Both Karl Marx and V.I. Lenin worked for the New York newspaper.
And didn't
they worked for the New York newspaper.
And didn't the money come from Wall Street anyway?
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
it comes from Wall Street.
Yeah, it's same thing with the Nazis. And they're the rock.
That's why. Yeah, that author. What's his name? The author who wrote. God, he's the best of the best on that subject, and he's got about 20 different books out there on that subject. What's his name? He's done all these books on financing the Nazis, financing how Wall Street financed Hitler.
I think I read those. Yeah, you had him on you had him on your site a few years ago under PDF, where people could click on it and read it. Yeah,
Anthony Sutton. Well, you need to go on the web and go on the web to YouTube and type in Anthony Sutton, Sutton, Anthony Sutton, and listen to his discussion. Listen to him because he tells you who was financing who, where the money came from, how the Democratic Congress today and the Democrats of Washington are communists, Soviet Marxist Leninist communists, and the Republicans are Nazis, and who's paying them, where the money is coming from.
Yeah,
it was very interesting.
Jordan,
so little by little, the American people have no idea what's going on.
Jordan, that brings me to another question about the Nazis. I heard maybe even what happened down there in Guyana with Jim Jones. I mean, they wanted to take the congressman out anyway, and they had things they wanted to do anyway, but it was sort of like a twin operation because the Nazis were in competition with the Soviets down there, and the Nazis used this incident to because the U.S. had to come down there and clean it all up anyway. And so the Nazis did this possibly in order to get the U.S. to get their troops down there and all their helicopters down there during this time to knock the Soviet base out.
That sounds about right too.
Because these guys,
that's the kind of stuff that goes on.
This Jonestown stuff. I mean, I was studying it, and it looked like they were training sharpshooters at Jonestown to go fight in Angola. It happened. Because Lyndon B. Johnson had gave away the Atkins airfield down there in Guyana back in 1965. Now they call it Tamara Airport. But they said the Tamara Airport was like the largest airport. It was even bigger than the Kennedy Airport in New York. And the Nazis wanted that airport because the Soviets had it. Because, the Burnham administration, they were Marxists in Guyana. And the Nazis,
that's right.
And the Nazis felt like, all this Jim Jones and, this Burnham and Marxists and Soviets, the Nazis were getting kind of disgruntled. And so the Nazis just said, hell with it, just kill all of them. And they wanted to get, and there was the Mark Lane guy, I found out I
remember Mark Lane,
he ain't nothing but a CIA agent anyway.
Of course he was.
Yeah, I thought, there was a place called Hilltown. Did you hear about that? By Jonestown?
Yeah, Hilltown. I remember that.
It was a black guy who killed Martin Luther King's mother, and the black guy that killed Martin Luther King's mother, he was a little weird mind control looking guy. He had a mentor named David Hill, and the government put David Hill from America down in Hilltown next to Jonestown. And it was a camp like Jonestown, just called Hilltown. And Mark Lane had something to do with both these. But Mark Lane, when he was representing James Earl Ray, the only witness that was saying it wasn't James Earl Ray that did it, he was trying to put her in Jonestown right before the suicides happened.
Yeah.
He in Charles Gary and it has something to do with Grenada, the hospital in Grenada. I think
that's exactly right.
I think there was some genetical stuff going on with Joe.
Yeah, that's exactly what was going on in Grenada.
Yeah,
there was a university down there that had I think it was 500 students, and I can't remember the numbers, but who talked a lot about that when it first happened, what was going on in Grenada. was Dick Gregory. Dick
Okay.
Gregory was talking about Grenada and how there was all kinds of crossbreeding with animals and humans in Grenada,
Oh my.
and how the Cubans went into Grenada late at night and slipped in and got through the security and found out what the Americans were doing down in Grenada, were crossbreeding animals with humans and all that kind of shit with the Nazis. And that's why Ronald Reagan sent the Marines in and leveled that university, leveled it to the ground.
Yeah,
that's
I heard
a lot
that.
of interesting stuff like that.
I think that's what in Jonestown, nobody ever got to get the remains of the bodies or anything, and I've always often skepticized that there was some weird genetic experiments going, and a lot of these people that they said came up missing. I mean, they said 900 something people died down there in Jonestown. I don't believe that. I think a lot of these people were probably relocated, maybe to Grenada or something. There was genetic experiments.
Very possible.
Cloning, or
Yep.
like mixing them with monkeys and stuff and reptiles.
Well, look at that. But look, as far back as 1938, shit, that's a long time ago, almost 80, 90 years, whatever it is. 1938. There was a movie came out with Charles Lawton called The Island of Lost Souls.
Oh yeah, that was like the island. Yeah.
And then later on, in 1965, Burt Lancaster remade the movie Island of Lost Souls and called it The Island of Dr. Moreau.